So I had a surprising amount of questions on my last video where I showed you guys these little LED filament light things I found. And quite a few of those questions are actually on the power supply that I was using to power them here. So this is called a bench power supply, and I built this specific one myself, and I'll go into that in just a second. In general though, a bench power supply is really common for like hobbyists and tinkerers. It basically allows you to set an output power supply to be whatever you want, and you can adjust the voltage and amperage. You see here right now I have it outputting 3 volts. I can actually turn that down manually if I go into the voltage here, and you'll see as I turn it down, it'll dim the light, turning it on and off. This basically replaces needing a power brick for every single project you build, whether you're powering an Arduino with 5 volts, or you've got a super unique little part like this LED where you need 3 volts, maybe you need 24 volts. Instead of having to grab a power supply for every single project, you could just set it on the bench power supply and then output it however you need. So you could buy things like this off the shelf. They look something like this, but I made this one custom and I did a few things here to make it really fit my use case. So this piece here that you see, this is called the buck boost converter, and this is just an off-the-shelf part. This actually does the power conversion, but it just takes a really high input voltage and then you adjust the output voltage using the screen. It's mounted to my bench so you can't see it, but this is just getting its power supply input from one of these big heavy-duty 24-volt power bricks. So this has 24 volts going into it, and then the output is going to these 2 jacks here. These are called banana plugs, and they're a really common way to interface with power supplies. You get one lead for the negative and one for the positive, and they just plug in with a friction fit like this. And the cool thing about banana plugs is there's all sorts of different things you can plug them into. I, for example, had this little hook one that I was using to power the LED, or another common one that I use all the time are these little prongs here that can go into breadboards. You'll see here I can now power a breadboard or a little Arduino project directly off of the same power supply without having to get different cables and everything, and again, just easily adjust the voltage. I also included a barrel jack, which are these inputs that you've probably seen before. I have a whole bunch of devices that use this type of input, so I just have this male-to-male barrel jack, so if I ever need to plug in one of those, I can just plug that in and it'll use the same variable voltage that's being output over the banana plugs. As a bonus, I also added this port, which is always outputting 24 volts. This is soldered directly to the parent power supply that's powering this. This is so I can power my soldering iron at all times without having to worry about the voltage going up and down and having the heat going up and down all the time. Then I also added a USB port and a USB-C port just because it's a really convenient place to have it here at my bench. Whether using it to like troubleshoot individual components like I'm doing here, or just using it as a super easy power source for a certain project, they're just like so nice to have. And they're not only just powering things too, you also get a bunch of really useful stats. For example, here I can see how much amps that this device is pulling and how much total watts the amps and voltage are giving combined. And then of course you could set the voltage and you could set the amperage it's outputting as well. Again, all really useful things to use. And lastly, there's a whole bunch of different like screens I could go through to monitor the usage over time, or if you want to see it graphed, if you're working with something that pulls variable amperage and see how that goes up and down. This is obviously just a straight line because it's pulling a set amount of power. There's like stats over time, just a really cool little device. And this little case here you see for it, I just 3D printed it so it fit in the corner here. It's kind of nice because it kind of faces me and it's not flat against the wall, but it still kind of nestles in the corner there with this custom edge. We like this a lot. Bench PSUs are great. If you're a tinkerer and you don't have one, you should get one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.